buying a home is not like buying any other things in life. Buying a home is a huge investment. To most people, it's one of the biggest investments they'll ever make. It's also one of the most emotional purchases they'll ever make, because we're not just talking about, it is an investment and it should be looked at as also an investment, but it's also your home, it's also where you're making future memories, it's also in some cases where your kids will grow up, it's all, or where you will grow old, or where you have your life, meet your friends and family. It is so much more than just buying an item. My name is Danholm and I'm a real estate broker here in Central Florida, and I help many home buyers every year to navigate the process and get into the home of their dreams, and to get the most for their money while also getting the right home for them. So I've looked at some of the things that I consider maybe the best kept secrets to buying a home and getting through the process without too many hiccups and ending up in the right home. One of the things that I have found that a lot of people, they don't put enough time and effort into. When you find a home, you need to make sure it really truly is in the right location. You might like the neighborhood on paper, but if you've never been there or you lived close by and never really spent that much time in a specific neighborhood, you might think it's the right neighborhood for you. But in order to really know if it's the right neighborhood, you need to spend some time there before you bought your house. I would suggest that you at least go there a couple of times during the week and different times of day, so you can get a feel for the traffic, for the neighborhood, for the noise, for everything, whatever is important for you, and also spend some time there over the weekend to see what the weekend is like. Because one of the things that I personally have experienced is that I actually, in the home I'm in now, I was there on a weekend and I went back on a Wednesday. And one of the things that were really important to my wife and I was that we were living in a neighborhood that was quiet without too much traffic noise. And both of these days, remember we only spent those 2 days there, both of those days it was actually very quiet. We couldn't hear, there's a highway running quite close by, and we saw it and we knew it was there, but we didn't really hear it. So we said, okay, this is fine. If you don't hear it, it doesn't matter. And obviously, when we moved in, one of the first things we noticed was that highway, which is the 408 here in Orlando, is actually most days pretty noisy. I've learned to live with it. I've been here a few years and it's okay, but if I'd known at the time, I probably would have bought another house. So stalk out the neighborhood, make sure that you know what the neighborhood is like and what it is like in terms of what's important to you. So whether that's shopping close by, close to work, make sure that the commute really is as close as you think. There's so many things that goes into home, and it's not a decision that's easily redone. Once you closed on your home, it's costly and a bit of a process to get rid of it, especially if you're selling it straight away. You can lose a lot of money on that. So make sure that it really is in the right location for you. Make sure if you are in a situation where you're bidding or just wanting to make the right offer, think a little bit about what the right offer is. First of all, don't let yourself get carried away and offer too much money for a house just because you like it. And remember, it's not always entirely about the money for the seller. Obviously, the seller wants to maximize their profits when they sell their home. That goes for all of us. We want as much money as possible. But for a lot of sellers, there are also other things that are increasingly important to them. And that could be things like the closing date. Some sellers want to get out quickly, so if you can close quickly, you want to make your offer so it has a short escrow period. If the seller wants to stay in the home for a longer while because maybe they're building a home, well, then offer them to push the closing date in the future if that's feasible for you. And this is where a good realtor comes into the picture. If you want to make an offer that is below asking price and you want to know what else makes the seller tick, your realtor should be able to find that out by asking the listing agent. What is important to the seller? Is it the price? Is it the closing date? Is it something completely different? And then you and your agent can sit down and discuss whether or not that's something you can incorporate in the offer that you put on the table. And you might actually find out that with this strategy you could end up getting a house cheaper than you thought you could, because you met the seller where he wanted to meet. And then in busy times, in a strong seller's market, something that people often skip, sometimes because they have no choice, but also sometimes because they are just too scared that they might lose the house: the home inspection. A home inspection is incredibly important. The home inspector is an unbiased third party who will go through the property and tell you if there's anything wrong with it, if there's anything that needs to be repaired, if there's anything that's about to reach its life expectancy. And even if these things are not important to you, they might actually be things that you can use in a negotiation to get either some money from the seller and negotiate the price down, or get these things fixed before you move in so you don't have to worry about it when you move in. And even if you don't do any of these things, just having the report and being able to be prepared and prepare yourself for what you need to do in the near future, that's crucial. So that is something that I recommend everybody does, even if you buy a new construction home. It's also important that even though this is supposed to be a happy and because it's your home, it's supposed to be also an emotional process. It's important that you try to keep your emotions a little bit in check, whether these are good or bad emotions. Try not to let your emotions run away with you. If you find that perfect home and you think, oh, I just got to have it, it doesn't matter how much I pay for it, because at some point in time you are probably going to sell that property, and if you pay too much for it, you might not be able to get your money back, and that might hurt your opportunities to buy another home. Another thing that's important not to get too emotional about is things you don't like about a house, but things that can be fixed. So if you like the location and the house is perfect, but you don't like the green colors on the wall, well, think about this. The green colors of the wall can be fixed. You cannot move the house to a different location. You might not even be able to find a similar house in that location. So if it's little things that can be fixed, don't get too hung up on them. It's fixable. And then when you're looking at your budget, if you're getting a mortgage, your mortgage lender will help you with this, in the sense that they also look into a lot of these costs. But make sure that you're aware what the property taxes would be, what the insurance cost would be. So before you're fully committed to a home, it would be a good idea to make sure you get an insurance quote. You also go to the tax collector's website or somewhere else where they can calculate your potential property taxes based on the price you're paying for a home. I recently sold a home that I believe that the annual property taxes was, I think, $150, because these people had been living in the home for more than 30 years and they bought it really cheap. The new owners, if they look at that property tax of $150 and think that's what they're paying, they're going to be in for a huge surprise. With the price they paid for that home, the property taxes will go up to at least $3,000. So make sure that you talk to your realtor about what will my cost be. The only thing that can be revealed in the listing is what the costs are now, but in many cases they are nothing like what the cost will be for you when you buy the house, especially not if you buy a home that has been owned by the same people for many years and it's been homesteaded here in Florida. The new assessed value will be so much higher than the old one that your property taxes would be nothing like what the previous owners paid. But also consider maintenance and repair costs. Especially if you're buying a little bit older home, make sure you know that you have enough money to spend on necessary repairs and maintenance. And also, don't go and buy the biggest house in the neighborhood. There's the best house you can buy in a neighborhood is the house that are sort of in the middle of the sizes in a neighborhood. The biggest house in a neighborhood is always the hardest ones to get rid of. So if you want a big 5,000 square foot home, buy it in a neighborhood where most of the homes are 4,000 to 6,000 square feet. If you want a 3,000 square foot home, buy it in a neighborhood where there are 2,000 to 4,000 square feet. Make sure that you don't want to be the biggest on the block, because those are the toughest houses to get rid of once you need to sell it again. And another thing, people always tell me that this is not the right time to buy. Well, I will say to you, it's always the right time, and it's also the wrong time. And it's because no matter how you look at this, at some point in the future, it will be better than if you bought now, or it will be worse than if you bought now. And the thing is, nobody can really truly predict the real estate market or any other market. It's impossible to know what's going to happen 6 months from now. So the best time to buy is when you find the perfect house for you, and the perfect house that you can afford. Real estate goes up and down, so if you try to wait for the perfect time, you're probably never going to buy anything, or you're going to miss out on the right house for you at the right price for you. And when you buy a home, try to avoid any border disputes with your neighbors by having a survey done. It's important to know where the boundaries of your lot are, and to know if any of your neighbors have encroached on your land. If you're buying with a mortgage, a survey will normally be done, but if you are buying cash, it's up to you to decide whether or not you want a survey, and I would highly recommend getting a survey. Your property taxes are also based on how much property you have, so if you can actually prove to the tax man that you own less than he thinks you do, you might get a small discount on your property taxes. And you can go and look at homes anytime you want, and you don't have to have any talk to a mortgage broker or anything, or have any money in the bank to go look at houses. There are plenty of realtors that will help you do that, and I'm one of them. I don't mind, but for your sake, make sure that you either know that you have the cash, or that you are pre-approved for your loan before you start looking. Because what will happen if you're not pre-approved and you find a home, and that home is more expensive than you can be pre-approved for, then that is emotionally stressful, and it's not gonna. It's very frustrating for everybody, but it's specifically for you as the buyer, to find the home of your dreams, only to find out that you cannot get the mortgage you need to buy it. Another thing is, you can look at all the homes you want without having a pre-approval, but you cannot put an offer in without having a pre-approval. No seller in their right mind will look at your offer if you're not pre-approved to buy that home. So finding the right home and then having to go to your mortgage lender to get pre-approved might mean that you lose that home. And then once you have your pre-approval, make sure that you don't spend money on anything big. And whether you have the cash or you're borrowing the money, don't spend any big sums of money, because when you have your pre-approval, it's based on a specific financial situation. So if you change that financial situation by buying a new car, whether you buy it cash or buy it with a loan, that could mean that you are not able to get that loan anymore. But also don't receive any big sums of money unless you can prove exactly where they came from, because that is as suspicious to a lender as you suddenly having 5 new credit cards that you maxed out. Lenders and underwriters do not like financial changes in borrowers. So make sure that you maintain the same financial situation as you had at the date when you were pre-approved. Go buy that new car once you have closed on your home. Go down, and if you can afford it, go take out that new credit card after you closed on your home. And one thing about credit cards that most people overlook is it is actually not a good idea to close cards that you don't use, because lenders look at how much credit you have available in relation to how much credit you're using. So let's, for argument's sake, say that you have 2 credit cards with a combined limit of $10,000, and you are spending maybe $3,000 every month of that, and then you pay it off. That means that you have only used 30% of your credit. If you go and close one of those credit cards, you only suddenly have a 5,000 credit limit, and with the same $3,000 you are using 60% of your available credit. That is a red flag to any lender. So don't take out any new loans, don't take out any new credit cards, and do not close any credit cards, and don't spend large sums of money. These are my 10 best kept secrets to a successful closing and a smooth and problem-free house hunting. I hope you enjoyed the video, and please give me your comments below, or DM me with any question or comment you have. I always like to hear your opinion. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.